friends. 2019 is only a few days old, but it's already quite interesting. You know, I receive a lot of questions about guns, as you can imagine, and one of the most common is, what would be the one must-have gun in your collection? So I kind of avoided this question because that's a tough one to answer. Is it a 22? Is it a 12 gauge? Is it an M4 or an AK or who knows what? But in the end, I thought, well, I'll just pull the trigger on something, and I selected a 410 shotgun. And you're probably going to wonder about the logic. But on the table I have a Sears 410 single shot. I don't know what would go wrong with this shotgun ever. It has a built-in ejector. Obviously it's a hammer gun. It takes 2 3/4 and 3-inch shells, and I don't know what would cause it to not work. It's also marketed by Winchester. I'm looking at it and it says Sears Model 684, but I think the 37 or 37A, you'll know better, the different models. Anyway, it doesn't matter what is roll stamped into the barrel or receiver. You get the idea. And it doesn't have to be this make of 410. The 410 single shot, though, is a fantastically useful firearm. And then just because I happen to really like this model of 410 bolt action shotgun, this is a Stevens, which is actually a Savage. I checked and it says Savage on the barrel. It's a model 58 Series F, removable magazine. I was showing some people this gun and they thought it's a high-powered rifle. I mean, the bolt is in the right place and it actually looks like a bolt-action rifle. But it's a 410 shotgun, and it is a little bit rough, but it doesn't matter. I don't have any sights on it, but on prior guns, I had some Mossbergs, and I actually did put rifle sights on the bolt-action 410, and it was quite accurate. And you can buy slugs for these. You can buy buckshot for these. They kind of sit in a row. Very useful. So why the 410? Well, there's very little recoil if you shoot at all. It's very easy to handle. It's very easy to hit anything with a 410. 22 is useful as well, but you can't really hit anything on the wing with a 22. Although once you practice, you can, but that's another story. Anyway, with a 22 or any rifle, you're firing just one projectile, as everybody knows. I'll just take a quick aside, and hopefully you'll understand me. Some people tell me the 410 is terrible because the pattern is so small, and I'll show you that's what the bore of the 410 is. Just open the action. So that's pretty small, it's true, especially if I had a 12 gauge shotgun next to it. But actually, the pattern doesn't change size. The circumference of the pattern at, say, 20 yards or 40 yards is about the same size. But as you can see, this 410 shell doesn't have many pellets in it. So I'll explain to you what happens. Let's say you drew a 30-inch circle. The 410 and the 12 would cover the 30-inch circle at, say, 30 yards. But the number of pellets in that circle would be a lot less for the 410. So the probability of hitting a flying bird, for example, or a clay pigeon is less with the 410. That's true. But here's another thing to consider. The 12 gauge pattern is flying in the air like a pancake, if you can picture that. The 410 is longer. The pellets are leaving the bore, not in a line, but something like that, which means it takes longer for fewer pellets to arrive at the target, which is why a lot of people who shoot the 410 lead whatever it is they're shooting at by more than what they lead with the 12 gauge. So I'm not sure if that's clear, but with the 12 gauge you have more pellets arriving at roughly the same time, and with the 410 you have less pellets arriving over a longer period of time, but you still have a lot of pellets to work with. And for grouse, and that's why I chose the 410, for grouse and for any number of things that you have to deal with. The 410's ideal, not to mention home security. Depending on what load you use, you don't have to worry about going through drywall and all the rest of this stuff, which could lead to a tragedy. It's just universal. And on farms, you'll find that a lot of people have just the 410. And I took an interest in that. I think I told you I have some farming experience where I learned how little I know. And by the way, one farmer told me, we're all farmers, it's just the cities get in the way. And I always remember that quote. And I guess when things get bad, we run out of food first, and of course that makes things pretty clear. Anyway, that's a footnote. But they use the 410 with the slugs and sights. They all put some iron sights on their 410s. One fellow even had like tape on sights. I don't know where he got those, but they had two-sided tape, and they work quite well. And they had no problem dropping like coyotes at distance with the slugs out of the 410, which might surprise some people. And then I'm not saying that it's a great idea, but a lot of people drop deer with the 410 as well. It's surprisingly capable. And if you compare a 410 slug with many of these handgun cartridges, very quickly the 410 looks pretty good, especially since it's being fired out of what amounts to a smoothbore rifle if you have sights on it. So a lot of words about a pretty simple subject, but if you just had to have one gun, maybe the 410 would be it. It's a compelling case, all things considered, recoil, weight. I think I talked about who uses the gun in the household, and I think this is probably not intimidating for just about anybody. You can teach any family member to shoot, and yet it has the advantages of a shotgun, and that's a significant advantage, that you don't have to be spot on with one projectile. You not really point in the general direction, but something like that. Anyway, that's my must-have firearm. And when I started this video, the people in the studio said, you're saying must-have firearm, but you have two on the table. I don't mean these very guns. You could pick any 410. It could be a Mossberg 500, a Remington 870, but a 410 repeater or single shot. If you wanted something that never fails and is safe, a 410, this will cost you $80. Like, how can you go wrong with that? And you have a handful of the Remington shells or Winchester, doesn't matter, and some slugs. Maybe get some of those buckshot loads, and you're just about set for anything. And I've never had anything break down on these. They're extremely durable firearms. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I'm always welcoming your comments and looking forward to them. And I guess we'll see you next time.